Hi again. I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to babble a little bit. I just read a letter from Ellie, and it shook me. Before I do these videos, I read through the letters, and Ellie's in particular just gave me this feeling of fright. Ellie's story, the one before this, was the fear and the anticipation of going no contact. And we know it's coming. Maybe it wasn't no contact that we had to go through before. Maybe it was something else. But we had this compounding anticipation of the fear, this compounding effect that was just beating the hell out of us. Because no matter what we did, whether it be right or wrong or indifferent in our past, as it concerns the narcissist, we knew that there was a retribution coming, that to every action there is, in fact, a reaction, and the reaction of a narcissist is devastating. A letter really shook me because it took me back to every time I was a child and an adult when I would do something that I knew would not please the narcissist. I would wait. And in that waiting, I actually formulated my own response to that. I would go through these tapes, know what the narcissist reaction would be to me of an action that I took, and I would start formulating how I was going to respond. I went through this whole story in my head. And then I would think, sane people don't do this. This is before I knew what narcissism really was. And it was that constant compounding state of fear that really led me to almost a nervous breakdown. In fact, it may have been a nervous breakdown. I spoke quite a bit about being curled up in a fetal position on the couch and sweating. And it was that constant state of what's next. And then I would have to formulate lies. I'd have to formulate lies of why I couldn't call her. I'd have to formulate lies of why I couldn't go there. I'd have to formulate lies of why I couldn't make a specific event because it was at her direction that we must be there. It's important. What time are you going to be there? Don't be late. So I would have to make excuses. And they were lies. They were justified lies, right? So I'm not taking anything away from that. But I would have to lie. And then what happens? Somehow, in some sick way, I feel guilty. And I think that the narcissist must be right. I'm a terrible person. So that compounds on everything else. Narcissistic abuse is an abuse that is, I think, the worst abuse that there is, with the exception of spousal abuse, child abuse. It's this constant lingering of what their reaction to you is going to be. And when you finally want to stick up for yourself, and when you finally want to say, I'm not going to take this anymore. I don't deserve this. We go into this state of fright of how they're going to respond to us not wanting to be abused by them anymore. As if they're saying, I have every right to abuse you. You're no good. You're dirty. You're a liar. as if they have the right to say that. And then we feel guilty of saying, I am not those things. I no longer want to be abused by you. And we compound that guilt on top of that. It's just, Ellie's story, is, I think, one that most of us go through. Now, I'm sure that there are some victims of narcissistic abuse that just go no contact and that's it. They're much better. I'm sure that happens. But I think an overwhelming majority of us have an incredibly difficult time doing so. And I think that compounds. I think that anticipation fries our nerves. It's very real. And I have to be keen and aware of when I say, go no contact, that it's not possible, or it's very, very difficult for many of us to do that. Here's something else I know. I look back on how frightened I was. And now, today, after going through all that pain and fear of no contact, today I'm healthy. I had to go through that. It's not hyperbole to say, got to go through the pain. I really did have to go through that immense fear and pain of those thousands upon thousands of different feelings of what was going to happen, that I was not going to have any family left. I had to come to the conclusion that they weren't family to begin with, and my family is very, very sick. And I finally came to the conclusion that I just didn't deserve it anymore. A lot of us hold on to this little tiny piece, thinking that maybe we do deserve it. Maybe they were right. And that's not the case. It took me years of getting healthy through no contact to be able to clearly see that now and say without hesitation that I did not deserve that abuse. I'm so glad I'm out of it. I'm so glad I can say today I'm healthy. I'm so glad today that I do not have that constant feeling of anxiety. When I discuss with people who are close to me now, when I have discussions with them on any conversation, I do so freely. I don't have to, in the background, wonder what their response is going to be. I used to do that. As I was talking to the narcissist, I was wondering what their response was going to be and how I was going to counter that. It's exhausting. Being a victim of narcissistic abuse is absolutely exhausting. And all of that compounding together just takes a horrific toll on you. I am so glad I want no contact. I am so glad that I no longer have to anticipate what was next. I am so glad that when I have good, normal conversation with people that I know care about me and like me and love me, I am so glad I don't have to wonder what motives they have in their response to me. I don't have to wonder if they mean it when they say, I love you. I'm sorry, I just wanted to babble. The letter shook me, as so many do. And I guess if I was to summarize the motto of this is, it's intensely painful to go no contact for so many different reasons, so many different levels of emotion. It's remarkably difficult, profoundly difficult. But please know this. On the other side of that, you are not going to believe how much better your life becomes. You are not going to believe how healthy you become. So, as you're preparing to go no contact, or if you're in no contact and you still have those feelings of guilt, shame, anxiety about their reaction, know this. I say this a lot, but I say it a lot because I mean it. There's such a good life ahead of you. I don't care if you're 14 or I don't care if you're 86. You're going to have such a good life ahead of you. Let yourself have it. Thanks for